The research vessel Harmony floated quietly in space near the dead planet Kethvar. Inside the ship's main control room, Commander Veltar stood with his 4 large eyes focused on a glowing screen. The screen showed something that had been giving him trouble for 3 long months. "Dr. Quintai, tell me about the armor again," Veltar said in his deep voice. His gray skin looked darker under the blue light from the screen. Dr. Quintai moved closer on his 8 tentacle legs. He was nervous and his tentacles kept moving even when he tried to keep them still. "Commander, we lost another team today." The Kogani fighters went down to look at it. They lasted only 14 minutes before their minds broke. Veltar made a clicking sound with his mouth parts. This was the 7th team they had lost trying to study the strange armor. "How many does that make now?" 17 researchers across 4 different species, Quintai answered, looking at his data pad. The Altarians lasted the longest at 22 minutes. The Granite people, who can usually handle anything, ran away screaming after just 8 minutes. On the screen the armor looked beautiful but wrong. It was made of clear blue-white crystal that seemed to move and flow like water, even though it was solid. The suit was complete from head to toe, sitting upright in an old stone temple on the planet below. Strange symbols covered the temple walls, symbols that none of their language experts could read. "What exactly happens when someone gets close to it?" Veltar asked, even though he knew the answer. He had watched the recordings many times. Quintai's tentacles curled up tight. At first nothing. Then they start to feel uncomfortable. Within minutes they begin screaming about terrible images in their heads. They see things that terrify them beyond words. Most collapse and cannot move or speak for days afterward. Some never recover at all. The commander walked to the big window that looked out at the brown planet below. Kethvar had once been green and full of life, according to their scans. Now it was empty and dead, with only dust and old buildings remaining. The temple where they found the armor was the only structure still in good condition. "The energy readings from that armor are unlike anything we have seen before," Quintai continued. "It sends out waves of something. Our machines can detect it, but we do not know what it is. Whatever it is, it attacks the mind directly." Veltar turned back to face his science officer. "Do we know who made it?" "No, Commander. The temple is older than any civilization in our records. The people who built it were gone long before the first Altarian ships left our home world. The armor could be millions of years old." "And you think it was designed to hurt people?" Quintai nodded his large head. "Yes, sir. The way it affects different species is too specific to be accidental. Whoever made this wanted to keep everyone away from it. The question is why?" Veltar looked at the armor on the screen again. Even through the recording he could feel something strange about it. A cold feeling that made his skin crawl. Maybe it protects something. Or maybe wearing it gives great power. "If it does, the price is too high," Quintai said. "Anyone who gets close enough to touch it would lose their mind first. What good is power if you cannot think clearly enough to use it?" "Could it be some kind of test?" Veltar asked. "A way to find someone worthy? A test that kills or drives insane everyone who tries it?" "That seems unlikely, Commander." The 2 aliens stood quietly for a moment, both looking at the mysterious armor. Around them, the ship hummed with the sounds of machines working and crew members going about their duties. But the control room felt heavy with the weight of the unsolved mystery below. "Sir," Quintai said slowly, "there is something else. The armor seems to be getting stronger." Veltar's 4 eyes widened. "Stronger how?" "The energy it gives off is increasing. Very slowly, but our machines can measure the change. It is as if our presence here is waking it up somehow." This news made Veltar feel cold inside. How much stronger? "Only about 3% over the past month. But if it keeps growing?" Quintai did not finish his sentence. Veltar made his decision quickly. "Send a message to all ships in the area. Tell them to stay at least 10,000 kilometers away from Kethvar. Put warning signals around the entire system." "Yes, Commander." "And Dr. Quintai?" "Sir?" "Mark this as a Class X hazard in all official records. This armor, whatever it is too dangerous for anyone to study. We will seal the temple and leave this place." Quintai looked disappointed but nodded. As a scientist he wanted to solve the mystery. But as someone who had seen 17 good researchers lose their minds, he knew the commander was right. "Should we destroy it?" Quintai asked. Veltar thought about this. "No. We might make it worse somehow. We will just make sure no one else can find it." As the Harmony prepared to leave the Kethvar system, neither alien knew that their 3-month study had indeed awakened something in the armor. Deep inside the crystal structure, ancient systems were slowly coming back to life, waiting patiently for the right kind of mind to find them. The armor continued to pulse with its cold, blue light, alone in the dead temple on the empty world. Captain Lee Hyun sat in the pilot's chair of the human ship New Seoul, carefully steering through a field of floating rocks around the research station. The rocks were big and small, spinning slowly in space like a dangerous maze. One wrong move could damage their ship badly. "Captain, there are a lot of alien ships out there," said Lieutenant Park Mina, looking at her navigation screen. She was counting the dots that showed other vessels. "I see at least 30 different ships from different species, all staying far away from the station." Lee Hyun looked out the front window at the strange collection of alien spacecraft. Some were long and thin like needles, others were round like balls, and a few looked like giant insects. All of them kept their distance from the research station in the center. "That is unusual," he said. "Why would so many ships stay so far away? Usually they would dock at the station." In the back of the ship, Dr. Kim Jun was checking their official papers one more time. He was excited about this mission. As someone who studied old civilizations and their artifacts, he rarely got to visit active alien research stations. "Everything looks good with our documents," Jun called out. "The Galactic Council personally invited us for this cultural exchange program. This is a big honor for humanity." The communication screen in front of Lee Hyun suddenly turned on. A large alien face appeared, with gray skin and 4 big yellow eyes. This was Commander Veltar, the leader of the research station. "Human ship New Seoul, welcome to Research Station Keth 9, the commander said in his deep, rumbling voice. "I hope your trip here went well." Lee Hyun smiled politely. "Thank you, Commander Veltar. Yes, we had a smooth journey. We are very honored that the Council invited us to participate in your cultural exchange program." "Good. Please follow the docking instructions my crew will send you. We look forward to meeting you in person." The screen went dark, and Lee Hyun began the careful process of connecting their ship to the station. The docking went smoothly, and soon they heard the mechanical sounds of the airlocks connecting. The 3 humans put on their best uniforms and gathered their equipment. This was an important moment for humanity's relationship with the other species in the galaxy. When they stepped off their ship, they were met by 2 alien guards who looked like they were made of living rock. The rock people led them through long, clean hallways. The walls were white and covered with warning signs written in many different alien languages. Dr. Jun noticed the signs immediately. "There are a lot of warnings here," he said quietly to his companions. "More than usual for a research station." They were taken to a large laboratory filled with strange machines and computer screens. In the center of the room stood Dr. Quinti, the station's head scientist. He looked like a large octopus that could walk upright, with 8 long tentacles for arms and legs. "Welcome, humans," Dr. Quinti said, but his tentacles were moving in a nervous way. "I am Dr. Quinti, chief researcher of this station. Before we begin any tours or exchanges, we must talk about safety rules." Captain Lee Hyun nodded. "Of course. We want to follow all your protocols." Dr. Quinti's tentacles curled and uncurled as he spoke. "There are 3 sections of this station that are completely off-limits to all visitors, especially your species. We have found something very dangerous here. An artifact that we believe is some kind of psychic weapon." Dr. Jun's eyes lit up with interest. This was exactly the kind of discovery he lived for. A psychic weapon? How fascinating. "Do you know which ancient civilization created it?" "We do not know," Dr. Quinti replied, his voice getting more worried. "The object is older than any civilization in our historical records. It appears to be a suit of armor made from some kind of crystal, but its mere presence causes terrible effects on the mind." "What kind of effects?" Jun asked, leaning forward eagerly. Dr. Quinti's tentacles twisted together. "Anyone who gets close to it experiences unbearable mental pain. We have lost 17 research teams trying to study it. Some of our best scientists are now in medical care, their minds broken by whatever this thing does to them." Lieutenant Park Mina looked shocked. 17 teams? How many people is that? 63 researchers from 4 different species, Dr. Quinunderskai answered sadly. The Kogani warriors, who are known for their strong minds, lasted only 14 minutes before collapsing. Even the granite people, who can usually resist any mental attack, ran away screaming. Captain Lee Hyun frowned. "That does sound extremely dangerous." "It is worse than dangerous," Dr. Quinti continued. "The artifact seems designed specifically to torture any thinking mind that comes near it. Whatever species created this wanted to make sure that no living being could ever approach it safely." Dr. Jun was quiet for a moment, thinking about this information. "Where exactly did you find this armor?" in an ancient temple on the dead world of Kethvar. The temple is the only structure on the planet that has not crumbled to dust. The armor sits in the center of the main chamber, as if it is waiting for something. And you have no idea what it might be waiting for? Dr. Quenti's tentacles moved in what humans had learned was the alien equivalent of shaking their head. None at all. But I cannot stress this enough. Under no circumstances should any human go near Sector 7, where we are keeping the armor. The risk is too great. Dr. June nodded respectfully, but Captain Lee Hyun could see the curious gleam in his friend's eyes. Of course, Dr. Quenti. We would never interfere with your research or put ourselves in danger. But even as he said these words, June was already thinking about the mysterious armor and wondering what secrets it might hold. Dr. Kim June looked at his watch. It was 3 a.m, station time. Most of the alien crew would be sleeping now. This was his chance to see the armor that everyone was so afraid of. He walked quietly through the dark hallways of the research station. The lights were turned down low for the night period. His soft shoes made almost no sound on the metal floor. He had been thinking about the armor all day, ever since Dr. Quenti had warned him to stay away from it. June was a scientist who studied old things from dead civilizations. He had seen many strange artifacts before, but none that could drive people crazy just by being near them. This made him very curious. What could be so terrible about a suit of armor? He reached the first security door that blocked the way to Sector 7. June pulled out his access card, the one that Captain Lee Hyun had given him for emergencies. The door opened with a soft beep. The second door was the same. But at the third door he had to be more careful. This one had cameras watching it. June waited until the camera turned away, then quickly used his card and slipped through. Now he was in the forbidden area. The hallway here felt different. Colder somehow, even though the air was the same temperature. At the end of the hall was a large metal door with warning signs in 6 different alien languages. Even though he could not read most of them, the pictures made it clear. Danger. Keep out. Do not enter. June took a deep breath and opened the door. The room beyond was huge, like a cathedral. The ceiling went up so high that he could not see the top in the darkness. In the center of the room, on a round platform, stood the armor. It was the most beautiful thing June had ever seen. The armor was made of what looked like clear blue crystal, but it seemed to have light moving inside it. The light flowed like slow water through every part of the suit. Around the armor, energy fields hummed and buzzed, keeping it protected inside an invisible cage. Warning lights flashed red and yellow all around the platform, making strange shadows dance on the walls. Signs in many languages warned people to stay back. But June felt drawn to move closer. As he walked toward the armor, he started to feel a small headache. It was not very bad, just a dull ache behind his eyes. This was supposed to be the unbearable pain that had destroyed the minds of 17 researchers? It felt more like he had been reading too long without a break. The headache got a little stronger as he got closer, but it was still nothing terrible. June reached the outer ring of warning markers. Here, other people had collapsed screaming. But he felt sad. Not scared or in pain, just deeply sad, like when he thought about his grandmother who had died when he was young. This is not pain, he said quietly to himself. This feels like loneliness. The armor seemed to hear him. The flowing lights inside it moved faster, and it began to glow a little brighter. June felt something tugging at his heart, like the armor was calling to him. He pulled out his communication device and turned it off. If anyone was watching his location, they would think he had just gone to sleep somewhere. Now no one could track him. The force field control panel was right in front of him. It had warnings written on it in big red letters. June knew that the moment he turned off the protection fields, alarms would ring all over the station. Everyone would come running. But he had to know what would happen if he touched the armor. His finger moved to the power switch. I am sorry, he whispered to his sleeping crewmates. But I have to know. He pressed the button. The humming sound of the energy field stopped. The invisible walls that had been protecting the armor were gone. Now only empty air stood between June and the mysterious crystal suit. June took a step forward. The sadness he felt grew stronger, but it was not a bad feeling. It was like the sadness of a lost child who had been waiting a very long time for someone to find them. The armor's glow got brighter with each step he took. When he was only an arm's length away, June reached out his hand. The armor seemed to reach back toward him, though it had not moved at all. He could feel warmth coming from the crystal surface. What are you? He asked softly. Why does everyone fear you? His palm touched the smooth crystal chest piece of the armor. Instead of pain or terror, warmth flowed up his arm and through his whole body. It felt like coming home after a long, difficult journey. The armor began to shine with gentle golden light that filled the entire chamber. June smiled. For the first time since touching the armor, he felt completely at peace. "You are not evil," he said. "You are just lonely." The armor pulsed with light as if it was answering him. Far away in the monitoring center, Dr. Quinti was jolted awake by screaming alarms. He looked at his screens and could not believe what he saw. The human's heart rate was normal. His brain activity was calm. According to every sensor they had, Dr. Kim Jun was perfectly healthy while touching the thing that had destroyed the minds of 17 other people. "Impossible," Quinti whispered, his tentacles shaking with shock. The armor began to shine brighter and brighter as Dr. Kim Jun kept his hand pressed against its crystal surface. The warm feeling in his chest grew stronger, and suddenly the air around him filled with glowing symbols and letters floating like ghosts in the darkness. Jun stared at the writing with wide eyes. These were not the strange alien symbols he had seen all over the research station. These looked like Korean, he whispered in shock. The floating letters were a mix of old Korean writing and other scripts that reminded him of the oldest cave paintings and stone carvings he had studied back on Earth. Some of the symbols looked thousands of years old, from the very beginning of human writing. Then a voice spoke inside his head, not out loud but directly into his thoughts. It spoke in perfect Korean with the accent of his own grandmother. "Finally, after so many empty years, you have come back to us." June nearly jumped backward, but his hand seemed stuck to the armor. "Who are you?" he asked out loud. His voice echoed in the big chamber. "I am Guardian Unit Bekho," the voice answered in his mind. "I was created by the first wanderers to wait for their children to return. You carry the right genetic patterns in your blood. You are descended from those who first walked among the stars." "That is impossible," June said. "Humans only left Earth recently. We are new to space travel." But even as he said it, he felt that it was not true. Deep in his heart, something was waking up, like a memory he had forgotten long ago. Suddenly the chamber doors burst open. Commander Veltar ran in with 6 security guards, all carrying energy weapons. They stopped when they saw June standing calmly next to the armor, talking to it like an old friend. "Dr. Kim, step away from the artifact immediately," Veltar shouted, his 4 eyes wide with fear and confusion. But the Guardian's voice continued in June's mind. "What your alien friends call psychic torture was my attempt to find my makers. Non-human minds cannot understand the genetic memories and deep longing that I send out. Only those who carry the first wanderer bloodline can hear my true voice without pain." The air around June suddenly filled with moving pictures made of light. He saw maps of star systems, ships that looked both ancient and incredibly advanced, and colonies on distant worlds. The images showed humans but not modern humans. These people wore clothes and used technology that looked nothing like anything from Earth's history. "Your ancestors," the Guardian explained, "humanity's real ancestors, were the first beings in this galaxy to travel faster than light speed. They built homes and research stations in 17 different star sectors long before any of the aliens you see today even learned to make fire." June felt dizzy as he tried to understand what he was seeing. "But that cannot be true. Our history books say humans evolved on Earth. We have never been to space before a few hundred years ago." The holographic images changed, showing the ancient humans packing up their colonies and ships, all moving toward one small blue-green planet. "They left their space empire and went to live on a small world they called Earth," the Guardian said. "But the records do not say why they left. Something made them choose to live simple lives and forget their star-traveling past." Commander Veltar moved closer, still holding his weapon but looking confused. "What is happening? Why is the human not screaming in pain?" The Guardian seemed to notice the aliens for the first time. More holographic images appeared, showing the rise and fall of civilizations while humans lived quietly on Earth. "While your people slept on that one world, new species learned to travel between stars. The galaxy filled with life and new civilizations. But the network of stations and bases that your ancestors built remained empty, waiting." June looked at the star maps floating around him. There were hundreds of points of light marking human outposts scattered across the galaxy. "We are not new to space," he said slowly, understanding finally hitting him. "We are coming home." "Yes." The Guardian's voice was filled with joy that had been waiting for thousands of years. "The network has been sleeping, waiting for human hands to wake it up again. This galaxy's first star-traveling civilization was built by your people. And now you are ready to reclaim it." Dr. Quinti appeared in the doorway, his tentacles shaking with shock. "Commander, look at the readings. The human's life signs are completely normal. He is having a conversation with the thing that drove our people insane." The Guardian spoke to June again. Your genetic pattern is the key. When you touched me, you began to wake up all the dormant stations across the galaxy. Your people left them for you to find when you were ready to return to the stars. June felt tears running down his face as the full meaning hit him. Humans were not newcomers trying to find their place among alien civilizations. They were the children of this galaxy's first space empire, finally coming home after a long sleep. How long have you been waiting? He asked. 53,412 Earth years, the Guardian answered. But the wait is over now. Welcome home, child of the first wanderers. The armor pulsed with warm, golden light, and June knew his life had just changed forever. Dr. Kim June stood in the center of the chamber, but he looked completely different now. The crystal armor covered his entire body, fitting him perfectly like it had been made just for him. The blue-white crystals now glowed with warm golden light, and he could feel power flowing through every part of the suit. Through his connection with Guardian Bekho, June could sense something amazing happening across the galaxy. Far away on dozens of different worlds, old machines and stations that had been sleeping for thousands of years were waking up. Lights were turning on in empty buildings. Computers were starting to work again. The network was coming back to life. Everyone, please listen to me, June said to the alien researchers who were still standing around him in shock. His voice sounded stronger now, like he was speaking with the authority of someone much older and wiser. This armor was never meant to hurt anyone. It was not a weapon at all. Commander Veltar's 4 large eyes blinked very fast. Then what is it? It is a key, June explained. A special key designed to reconnect humanity with the empire our ancestors built long ago. The Guardian was waiting for one of us to return and claim what was always ours. The alien commander made his clicking sound with his mouth, but this time it sounded confused instead of angry. Are you telling us that humans, your species that we thought was new to space travel, once controlled the entire galaxy? Captain Lee Hyun and Lieutenant Park Mina had heard the alarms and came running to Sector 7. Now they stood in the doorway, staring at their friend who looked like a glowing crystal warrior from an ancient legend. June? Captain Lee called out. Are you okay? What happened to you? June turned to his captain and smiled. The armor made him look powerful, but his smile was still the same friendly smile they knew. I am better than okay, Captain. I just learned the truth about who we really are. He waved his hand, and the air filled with moving pictures made of light. The pictures showed maps of star systems, huge space stations, and fleets of ships that looked nothing like anything any of them had ever seen. We did not rule the galaxy, June explained to Commander Veltar. Our ancestors guided it. The first wanderers built trade routes between worlds, created research stations to help other species learn and grow, and established diplomatic meeting places where different civilizations could work together peacefully. Dr. Quinti moved his tentacles in a way that showed he was very interested. If they were so powerful, why did they leave? What made them go back to just one world? June accessed more information through the armor's connection to the ancient databases. New pictures appeared in the air, showing the first wanderers slowly closing down their stations and gathering their fleets. They were waiting, June said, his eyes shining with understanding. They saw that the galaxy was changing. New species like yours were developing space travel and building their own civilizations. The first wanderers realized that if they stayed, the younger species would always depend on them instead of learning to grow strong on their own. Lieutenant Park Mina stepped closer, still staring at her transformed colleague. So they left on purpose? They gave up their empire to let other species develop. Exactly, June nodded. They did not want to be rulers or gods. They wanted to be partners. So they went back to Earth and waited for the right time to return. Guardian Bekho's voice filled the chamber, speaking out loud now so that everyone could hear. The time of waiting is over. The children of the first wanderers have returned to take their place among the stars, not as masters, but as the older brothers and sisters they were always meant to be. Commander Veltar lowered his weapon completely. This changes everything. If what you say is true, then humans are not newcomers to our galaxy. You are the original space travelers. The original helpers, June corrected gently. We came back to work together with all of you, not to take control. News of what had happened began to spread throughout the research station and beyond. Other ships in the area received messages about the discovery. Soon, representatives from the Galactic Council would come to see for themselves. Captain Lee Hyun looked at his friend with a mixture of pride and worry. June, what happens now? What does this mean for humanity? June smiled and looked up at the stars that were visible through the chamber's transparent ceiling. The armor's crystals pulsed gently with each heartbeat. Now we go home, Captain. Not just to Earth but to all our homes scattered across the galaxy. The network of stations and outposts our ancestors built is waking up. After 50,000 years of sleep, humanity is finally ready to begin its true journey among the stars. The ancient armor hummed quietly, a sound like a contented cat purring. Guardian Bekho had waited for over 50,000 years for this moment. Its long watch was finally over. "Welcome home," the Guardian whispered, and across the galaxy, 1,000 sleeping stations echoed the same greeting as they opened their doors once again to the children of the first wanderers. The crystal armor glowed brighter, and Dr. Kim Jun knew that everything was about to change not just for him, but for all of humanity and the entire galaxy.